I regularly like to go back and take a look at plugins that I've taken a look at in the past and maybe made some comments on and haven't really sort of got any further with them after that initial feedback. Today's no exception. We're going to take a look at ACPT. This is a plugin for WordPress that allows us to create custom post types, taxonomies. You get the idea, like ACF, like MetaBox and so on. But it does have a few nice little features up its sleeve. Now there is a premium version, which is what we're going to look at in this video, and there's a light version which allows you to at least get a kind of feel for how this works. So if you want to check this out for yourself, try the light version and give it a go. So first of all, before we go any further, you already know what this is about, I've just said, but what does it work with? What integrations do we have? And this for me is one of those key things. It has to integrate with the tools that I use to build websites. So if we hop over into the integration section, you'll see that we have some integrations here with most of the very popular builder tools, as well as some additional plugins. For example, Blocksy, the theme, Bricks Builder, which obviously is something that I use. You can work with Breakdance, Oxygen, Zion, Divi, Elementor, Gutenberg. You've got WP Grid Builder, Rank Math, Yoast. You kind of get the idea. There's a lot of options here which you can integrate. You can also integrate this with WS Form, which is a form plugin that I've recently been using and released a course covering how to use this to create front-end dashboards. Link in the description down below if you want to check that out. It's awesome. So it integrates well. It's not bad pricing either. If we hop over into the pricing side of things, you can see you can currently get 20% off at the time of recording this video, so you may want to check that out. But as you can see, for an individual site, $29 up to $99 for the agency, which isn't bad. However, the lifetime, if you like what this offers, is $199, which is insane. That gives you lifetime updates, lifetime support, unlimited sites, and all of the features. So if you like what you see in this video, or you want to support the developer, you can check that out. Link, like I say, is in the description down below. Take a look at it for yourself. Okay, so we've seen what it is and so on. Let's take a look at how you can use it, and let's have a look at some of the key features. This isn't going to be an exhaustive video. This is just me going back, revisiting it, taking a look at some of the options, and letting you see some of those things that you can do. As always, though, if you want me to cover this in more detail, and I know a lot of people do it because I keep getting this one requested over and over when I create different tutorials on building dynamic websites, let me know in the comment section. If enough people are interested, I'll take a look and create some more content on it. Okay, let's head over into WordPress now and take a look. Now, before we go any further, a quick word from today's video sponsor. Are you looking for a hosting partner that takes speed and security seriously? Then look no further than Kinsta. Their hosting not only delivers lightning fast performance and top tier security, but also provides you with powerful MyKinsta tools. These tools are designed to empower you, making it easy to manage your WordPress site with absolute confidence. And when you need help, they have a WordPress experts available 24/7. No bots, just real answers and real support from people who understand WordPress. It's no wonder they rated 4.8 stars on G2 with over 740 reviews from satisfied users. This high rating and positive feedback should give you the confidence to trust in their services. Kinsta, the hosting solution that's fast, secure, and always backed by real support. Get started now using the link in the description below. Okay, let's get back on with today's video. Once you've installed and activated the plugin, you'll have a new section inside your dashboard called ACPT, and there's a bunch of options available to you. As you can see, we can create custom post types, taxonomies, options pages, which is always a good thing to see, field groups, which are our meta fields. We've got additional tools, some settings, and the license. Let's hop into the settings first of all. Inside here, you can do things like set your language, the font you want to use, but there's also some additional options which are quite useful. One I do want to show you, which is the form builder. So we are going to enable that. And as you can see, you can enable or disable any of these functions. So for example, if you don't want to use options pages, you can disable it from here. So we'll do that. We're not going to touch on option pages for this. And if you want to set any kind of external services like APIs and things, you can do that. There's some caching options, and also you can delete and how you want to handle deletions and so on. With that being said, let's click on save. That's that done. And let's do what we'd expect to do. Create a custom post type. We'll add one in. As you can see, there's the standard WordPress post type here for pages and posts. So if you want to do things here, like associate custom taxonomies and things, you can do it. We're not going to. We're going to just go and register a new post type. This then takes us into a nice 3-step wizard. Again, this is one of those things that I do like to see. I like it when you've got a nice, clean, polished, and professional looking interface. And fair play, they're doing a great job here with ACPT. So let's just go in and create the post name. This is the slug first of all. So we'll just say properties. We'll pop in a singular label and a plural. We'll choose an icon. This one looks pretty good. We can then set what this supports. So these are the standard WordPress functions. I'm not going to worry about the excerpt. We'll just keep it to title, editor, and thumbnail. Let's move on now to the next step. Additional details. Now, most of this is going to be the labels that you associate with the actual custom post type itself. You can skim through and you can see all the options are here, all pre-filled out, so we don't need to worry about those. You can basically leave all this as it is if you want to. Then let's come back over, choose next step, and this is the other settings. We're going to set this to be hierarchical. You can customize, and all the normal culprits are here. So set into public, whether it's queryable, whether you want to show this in the WordPress UI, show in the menu, you can customize this. You get the idea. You can also set the menu position, and this is one of those little things I like. This, to me, is much nicer than working with the way that ACF does it. We can say we want this to go before, and then choose exactly what we want it to go before. So we'll say before our posts. Nice, simple. Posts, we'll say the capabilities, has an archive, and rewrite, query variables, all those kinds of good things are in here. So what you can do now is you can simply click to confirm, or you can go back and make some changes. So even though this says it has an archive, we can control what that actually is. So we've got the previous step, scroll down, there's archives. Let's set it inside there as properties. Go to next step and just click on save. So we've now set this up. There's our custom post type. It tells us a custom post type. There's the name, the icon. We can associate taxonomies to this, which we will do in a moment. And you can create or show any field groups. And you've got a bunch of other options like permissions, editing, duplicate, and so on. So let's go and create a field group. Let's add a couple of custom fields here. Click on create. Now this is, to me, this is a little bit more obscure when it comes to setting things up. It wasn't immediately obvious how you work with the MetaBoxes, for example. But again, it's one of those things that spend 5 minutes with it, get comfortable with it, and you'll think nothing of it. I'm coming over from ACF, which I've been using for probably like 10 years. So I'm really used to the way that works. So this is just a little bit different. Sometimes different isn't necessarily the best thing. I would keep it very similar to what people are used to, then it means that the adoption process is easier. Anyway, just a little gripe. How do you want to display it? You've got standard view, accordion, horizontal tabs, and so on. So this is how you're going to display this bunch of different meta fields inside the editor itself. We'll leave this a standard view. You can choose the context, advanced, normal, or side. So let's put this on the side, so it'll put it to the side column, which when you've got smaller amounts of information, I kind of prefer it on the right-hand side as opposed to being at the bottom, which isn't necessarily the nicest look. Priority, we'll say this is high priority. And then you can choose what you want to associate this with. So our post type is equal to properties because we already chose that from the list. But as you can see, we can drop this down and the same kinds of options that you used to with any kind of tools like ACF, MetaBox, and so on, which allows you to choose where and when you want to connect these meta fields. So if you want to add additional meta fields, for example, to your users, you could do that here. Additional to taxonomies, posts, you get the idea. So that's perfectly fine. You can add additional conditions, so you can stack more conditions on top of each other. So you may want to have the same field group in multiple different post types. You could do that if you wanted to. Then we've got the meta boxes themselves, and this is the basic additional information. So we're going to keep this super simple. We'll add a meta box in, and you can see this is where the kind of confusion bit comes in for me. It's like, okay, we've added a meta box in, but nothing really seems to have happened. So I would like this just to be a little bit clearer. So what we're effectively doing is kind of grouping these things together, I believe. So we can edit this. So we'll just call this property details. And now that's kind of created the grouping. And now we can add the actual meta fields into that grouping. And we can create multiple groupings. So from a logic point of view, it does make sense. We can group property details, and maybe we'll have agency details and so on, and then it could be different. Add a field group in, and this is kind of now where we go into actually adding the field groups themselves in. So you can see there's our field label. Let's just set it to, we'll have this one as property price. Change it over to numeric, but as you can see, there's a lot of options inside here, including repeater, flexible, clone. We've got relationships here. So if you are moving over from something like ACF Pro or moving over from something like MetaBox, the premium version, the options that you may want for the more advanced setups like relationships and so on are available inside this as well. Now, obviously, this is the Pro version. The Lite version is not going to have these options. But again, if you want me to create more content on this, especially linking this up to Bricks Builder, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's keep this super simple for this example. Set this to be a number. Pop a description if you want to, if you need to explain how something works, and if you want to pop in a default value, you can do here. Hopping over into the advanced settings, you can just configure where things like the label and things like that appear. Again, you can customize this if you want to, your text field settings and so on. If you want to apply conditional logic, you can do that here. So you may want to show different fields based upon selections of other fields. You can do that using conditional logic. Validation rules, so you want to make this something that has to be inserted, you can do that from here, or you can simply say field required from the top here. So we'll just check that, it now becomes a required field. If you want to set permissions, you can also do that here as well, and you can add additional permissions in if you want to by clicking the add permission and add more permissions in. You kind of get the idea. Want to add another field box in, so we could do that here. So let's just call this one property ID. We'll set this again to be a number. Advanced options, everything's fine there. We'll leave everything as it is. So now we've basically set up our initial custom post type. We've associated our meta fields to it. Let's click on save. And now we've added those in. So if we come over now to our new custom post type of properties and we go to all properties, let's add a new property. As you can see, the normal things here, so we can add the title in, some content. We could add our featured image in, and we've also got our property price and our property ID. Pretty cool, pretty simple. Before we add anything inside here though, let's just come in and create a taxonomy and see how that side of things works. If we come into ACPT again, come to taxonomies, we're going to go and create a new one. Again, you can see you've got that same kind of 3-step wizard process, which is nice. The slug, property type for the singular, and property types from the plural. Next step. Again, you can see this is basically doing those labels like we've already seen. So you can just leave this as they are unless you have something specific you want to change it to. And let's go to the next step. Set this to be hierarchical. All those options look pretty good. Nothing we haven't already seen. I don't use a tag close, so we can dump that off there. Showing quick edit is always nice, and in the admin column, which again is also pretty nice to have. And you can also set these so you can sort them. Again, some nice little quality of life enhancements that don't require additional plugins to be able to do those things. Hit save, and we've now created that particular taxonomy. As you can see, we haven't associated this with anything yet, so all we need to do is click on the associate option, and we can choose to associate it with one or more of our custom post types. In this example, properties. You'll see we've got the property type option, so let's pop into there. We can add a couple of property types in. There we go, a couple of property types added in. Now let's go and add a new property. So we've got some content. Let's add a featured image and set the property type itself. So we'll set this to be an apartment, property price, property ID, and set our featured image. There we go. We've now added a property. Let's click on publish. And there's our first property added. Pop back out of here. You can see there's everything set up. So nothing you haven't already seen in other tools that you have available, including things like ACF, MetaBox, and so on. But there are still some more options here. And one of the ones I think is really useful, especially since it's built into the plugin itself, is the forms option. So let's come into forms. And this allows us now to create a form. And you're thinking, whoa, Paul, it's a form. What do I care? Because we can embed these on the front end of the site. So if you want to make something so people can add new content and connect it up to your ACPT custom fields and custom post types and so on, this allows you to do it really easily without the need for an additional plugin. Now, is it going to rival the likes of something like WS Form? No, but not everybody needs that amount of power. You may want something really simple that just allows people to add content and you don't want to add another plugin in. So let's see how easy it is to use these forms and how you can use this to create and add new content form and include it in your site. So all we need to do is click on Create Form. We'll give it a name. For this example, we'll call it Add Property. We'll choose the action. We're going to choose post management, but as you can see, there are other ones here, including things like Ajax, PHP, and so on. But post management allows us to manage the content. Choose that option from the list. You can insert a successful outcome message if you want to, and you can choose where you want to grab the data from. We're going to say this is properties, but as you can see, we could easily add more things inside here, including things like categories for taxonomies, property types, and so on. So you can allow people to create additional property types, which are custom taxonomies, allow them to create new content via actual custom post types. You get the idea. So now you can see this has pulled in some additional information. We can choose to create a new post, or we can reference an existing post in this example. Well, we're going to leave this to creating a new one. We'll hit save. And that's our form created. But obviously nothing's happened. We don't have any fields inside here. So how do we do it? All we need to do is click on manage. This will then give you the form manager. This allows you to just use a typical drag and drop environment to drop content in. So if we take a look on the left hand side, you can see we've got standard fields like the button to submit it, a captcha if you want to use it. So if you've got this set up with the Google Captcha, you can easily use the API in the settings, connect that up and use that here. Same thing goes for Turnstile from Cloudflare. We'll leave those as they are for now. Then we've got the WordPress post fields. These are the native functions we've got. And then we've got the custom ACPT fields. Pretty cool. So let's build our form. Let's start off with our post title. Click and add it in. Job done. Post content. Drag that, drop that in there. Post thumbnail. Yep, we'll have one of those as well, please. Post taxonomies, why not? And our ACPT fields, yeah, let's go for those two. Let's drop those into our design. There we go. So we've now built our form out. Let's add our submit button in and pop that at the bottom. Pretty cool. But we can go even further than this. Now at the moment, these are just basically pulling in the basic information. However, if we click on, for example, our post title, that now opens up all the options that are relevant to it. So for example, our settings, extra, and validation. So you can now customize this if you want to. So you could change the name, set your CSS classes, your labels, and so on. So what we'll say is property name. As you can see, that now updates the label, so it makes something a little bit more sense. Go into extra, for example, you can set any default value or a placeholder if that makes sense. In this example, it doesn't. And if you want to set validation, you can do that. So you can say this field is required. And if you want to, you can add additional rules here as well. So you can set up custom rules. We'll disable that for now. But it's pretty cool you've got that in there. Come to our post content, for example. Come into settings. As you can see, we've got the same options here. So we'll change this one to property description. If you need to tell them how to use it, you can pop a description inside there. Come into extra, and what we can do now is we can set this to enable the editor. So if you want a more sort of visual WYSIWYG editor, it's a pretty simple one, but it's available to you. You can enable that. It doesn't show inside here, but when we insert this into the front end, you'll see it in action. Again, you've got your validation options. Come into things like your post thumbnail. You can choose things inside here as well. Set your default values, validation, you get the idea. It would be nice to have the option here to choose exactly what type of files that are allowed, so we can restrict this to only image files, for example, or only particular file types like WebP, PNG, and so on. So that would be nice. Post taxonomies, we can control the look of this as well. So we'll change that to property type. Come into extra, choose we don't want multiple values because obviously properties are only going to be in one particular type. So set your validation rules, you get the idea. So now what we can do is we can save this, and we now have our basic form set up. If we come back at this to our form list, there's our little shortcode. Let's copy that shortcode, come over into pages and add a new page. We'll say add property, and we'll simply drop in that shortcode, and we'll publish this. Let's go take a look. And there's our form. So you can see everything is inserted in here. Property name, description, thumbnails, and so on. So let's go and add in a property and see how it all works. Once you've inserted everything, we'll click the button. Well, we should rename that probably. There's our form was successfully submitted. So now let's jump back into the dashboard and into our properties. And there you can see there's our new property in draft status. Let's open this up. And as you can see, all the information is now inserted in here, including the property type, the property details, and so on. So having these kind of front-end forms is definitely a very useful feature. But what are my thoughts on ACPT after going back and checking it out since the last time I looked, which was probably like a year ago? Well, to be honest, I like what they're doing here. I think the developer is really creating a nice environment to work with. Support is great. The integrations with all the key builders, including some of those additional tools like WS Forms and so on, makes it a very interesting proposition. I like the fact that if you want to just stick inside the plugin itself, you can create all your custom post types, your taxonomies, and all those kinds of good things, including options pages, and you have a simple or relatively simple form builder that allows you to create front-end forms to be able to insert content, edit content, and so much more. The pricing is incredibly good. If you want a tool with a lifetime deal, that gives you all this functionality and great integrations, then maybe ACPT is one worth taking a look at. But before you do, try the light version, see what you think of it, and let me know in the comment section down below. Now, speaking of the comment section, if you want anything else covered on this particular plugin, let me know down there as well so I can take a look. And if enough people are interested, I'll create some more content on it. As always, though, I welcome your feedback. And if you want to learn more about working with WordPress, Bricks Builder, and all those kinds of good things, check out this video next. As always, my name is Paul C. This is WPTuts. And until next time, take care.